Hello there. Today I've prepared a very practical structure for you, a structure which I always recommend during my classes. Actually, I was inspired to record this video. A few weeks ago, I had my conversation courses and I actually started explaining this structure to my students. They enjoyed it a lot. It turned out that, well, they're not particularly aware how to use this structure, and here we are. That's why I decided to record this video. I hope you will enjoy it. I hope that after this class you will start using this structure. Like, it makes my work easier. They made me change the contract, so this is the structure we're gonna focus on today. Of course, stay till the end because we're gonna have some nice exercise at the end. And of course, remember, below this video there is a PDF you can collect with some further translation exercises for you as well. Are you ready? Let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to show you this slightly easier use of this structure, namely this verb make is going to be followed by an adjective. Adjective, I mean happy, easy, difficult, and so on and so on. I guess you can learn how to use this structure in practice by simply having a look at the examples I've prepared. The first one, it makes me motivated. And I have to tell you that I can very often hear a sentence like, it motivates me. It frustrates me. So have a look at the other example. It makes me frustrated. So instead of saying it motivates me, it frustrates me, which is obviously correct, you can always use this fancy structure which will make your English sound a bit more natural, a bit more fancy, I suppose. So you see, you basically say it makes me motivated, the adjective. It makes me frustrated. It makes her happy, right? So you have this make, verb, then you have the object, okay, dopełnienia, like me or her or him or my kids, right? And then you have the adjective like motivated, frustrated, angry, happy, and so on and so on. Another example, this tool makes my work easier. So you see, this tool makes, you have this S because it's present simple, you have this tool, which is it, so you need to add this S ending. This tool makes the object my work easier, the adjective. So instead of saying that thanks to this tool my work is easier, but of course you can use this sentence, maybe it would be a bit better to say this tool makes my work easier. And it doesn't really matter how you will translate it, right? Because you could say to narzędzie ułatwia moją pracę, but you could also say to narzędzie sprawia, że moja praca jest łatwa. So it doesn't really matter how you will translate it. The important thing here is that you use this structure make, somebody, the object, and the adjective happy, for instance. One more example. My job makes me bored. The same situation. My job makes me, adjective, bored. So instead of saying my job is boring, obviously you can use this structure as well. My job is boring. But if you wanted to say moja praca mnie nudzi, so you need a verb, then it's much better to say my job makes me bored. I hope you're with me. So it makes me happy, it makes me bored, it makes me angry, it makes me frustrated. So quite an easy structure, isn't it? Let's move on to a few more examples, shall we? Have a look at this one. Here we actually have this make used in the past tense, past simple. That's why we say the client made me furious. So again, the client made me, the adjective, furious, or angry, you could say, right? So you see, there is no particular verb for furious, for zdenerwować kogoś, rozzłościć kogoś, so you need to actually use this collocation make somebody angry, make somebody bored, make somebody furious, okay? Because there is no one specific verb for this context. I hope it makes sense. I hope you're with me. Another example, possibly. Don't make her angry. So you see here we actually have this imperative, tryb rozkazujący. So don't make her angry, right? But you see everywhere we have this adjective, make somebody angry, frustrated, furious, right? But of course, this verb make can be used in different tenses, present simple, past simple, future simple. You can use imperatives, right? So I suppose this one is quite easy. I hope that this structure sounds familiar to you. So I'm almost sure that you've seen it or you've heard it somewhere in a movie or when the client was using it. So I guess this is some kind of revision for you, I hope. Of course, remember that in the PDF, you will have some sentences to translate as well, but we will also have some practical, exercise at the end of this video, so you will test yourself simply. And now I would like to move on to another structure, which is based on this make verb, but here, as you can see, we will be using this make somebody plus verb structure. So in the previous example, we actually had this adjective, right? Make somebody happy, make somebody tired, for example. But here we will actually have a verb that will follow this make structure. Examples, I suppose, they will clarify everything. The first one, it makes me feel alive. So you see, you also have this adjective alive, but the primary verb is feel. So it makes me feel alive. Please bear in mind there is no to here, so we can't say it makes me to feel, okay? This is a bare infinitive, which means there is no to before the verb. So it makes me feel alive. Another example. My boss makes me work overtime. And pay attention here, the meaning is slightly different here. So it makes me feel alive is more like it causes this kind of happiness in me, right? It causes something. It makes me feel alive, sprawia, że czuję, że żyję. However, the second example is more about forcing somebody to do something. It's about pushing somebody into doing something, convincing somebody to do something. Have a look. My boss makes me work overtime. But again, please remember we don't have this to here. So you can't say my boss makes me to work overtime. Not possible. That would be incorrect. Of course, remember we can say my boss forces me to work overtime. So that structure is correct. Force somebody to do something, but here the structure is as follows: make somebody do something. No to here. So once again, my boss makes me work overtime. And I have to tell you that this structure is not as strong as force somebody to do something. So I would say when you force somebody to do something, it's a bit stronger. When you make somebody do something, it's something in between. So you're kind of trying to convince them, you're telling them to do it, you're kind of forcing them to do it, but not so much. So I hope you get the difference between make somebody do something and force somebody to do something. So you could even translate the sentence like mój szef nakłania mnie, zmusza mnie do pracowania po godzinach. Okay? Of course, stop the video if you want to process these two examples, but I've got a few more to go. Let's have a look at them. You might have heard this one in some Netflix series or movies. Don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh. So again, we use the same structure. Make somebody do something, right? Don't make me laugh. Don't make her laugh, right? So this one is actually used in this ironic way when, somebody is saying something which is, ridiculous, for instance, and you could just say, don't make me laugh. It's ridiculous. Don't make me laugh, okay? Another example could be, please don't make me do this. I don't want to do this. Don't make me do this. And again, remember, there is no to here. So you can't say, don't make me to do this, okay? Don't force me to do this. That would be correct, but make somebody do something, so don't make me do this. And you see the Polish translation could be, nie zmuszaj, nie nakłaniaj mnie do zrobienia tego. So it's not as strong as forcing somebody to do something, but I have to tell you that this structure is used more often than force somebody to do something. So in this informal speech, I have this feeling that this one is more common. That's why it's worth using it. That's why we are learning how to use this structure today. Okay, so don't make me laugh, don't make me do this. Let's move on to another example. Here we have the same, collocation structure used in the past. So you see, they made me stay longer. They made me stay longer. But again, there is no to, right? Make somebody do something. So they made me stay longer. Well, the synonym could be, they forced me to stay longer. But here, they made me stay longer. And again, you could translate it like nakłonili mnie, zmusili mnie, przekonali mnie. So it's something in between, I suppose. It's not really easy to translate this structure because it has different meanings, I suppose. One more to go. Now we have this future simple tense. It will make you feel better, I promise. It will make you feel better. Make somebody do something. But again, this make verb is used in this future simple tense. So we have will here. It will make you, the object, feel better. So when you actually look at these structures, let me know in the comment later on if it sounds, reasonable. I suppose it's not so difficult, is it? You just need to memorize the structure. I guess the most difficult part is to actually think of using this structure when you need it. Because very often when I speak to my students, instead of saying, it makes me really frustrated, they just say, it frustrates me. Or instead of saying, what motivates you, we could say, what makes you motivated? Sounds a bit more, fancy. Of course, I'm not saying that this basic way of communicating what you want is wrong. It's not. But if you want to improve your English, if you want your English to be a bit more elegant, a bit more native-like, then I suppose this structure is really worth using and practicing. And now I'd like to show you two more questions. Speaking of which, this is actually what I've said. What makes you motivated? Have a look at this one. What makes you think so? This is a very common question I ask during my classes. So instead of saying, why do you think so? Why do you think so? Sometimes this question might, become a bit boring for my students. Or if you use this question, why do you think so? Why do you think so? At a meeting, like all the time, then again, it might become a bit, boring. So remember that instead of saying, why do you think so? You can always say, what makes you think so? What makes you think so? And the last one, what made you change your job? So you see, we have this past simple tense. What made you change your job? So instead of saying, why did you change your job? A very common question. You could say, what made you change your job? Co sprawiło, co skłoniło cię do zmiany pracy? So very nice questions, I suppose. You can write them down. What makes you think so? What made you do something? What made you change your job? What made you move abroad? And things like that. Of course, you will get this PDF file if you subscribe to my newsletter, so make sure you do so if you want to receive some exercises and all the notes from today's class. And I suppose now we can just move on to one small tip I've got for you, namely how to create the structure with make somebody do something in passive voice, strona bierna. So you see, make somebody do something, it's more like nakłonić kogoś do zrobienia czegoś. But what if you wanted to say zostać, być zmuszonym do zrobienia czegoś? Then the structure is slightly different because, focus now, you actually add this to here. So this rule that I told you about before, make somebody do something without to, is valid only if you have this normal sentence. They made me do it. But well, if you have this passive voice structure, być zmuszonym do, then you actually need to, unfortunately, add this to in front of the verb. So let's have a look at it. You have two examples. One of them is a normal sentence, active sentence. They made me stay longer. There is no to, right? They made me stay longer. But then if you wanted to create this passive voice here, that would be I was made to stay longer. Stop the video to process these two examples. So you see, I was made to stay longer is actually like saying I was forced to stay longer. It's completely the same. But what you have to remember about, once again, is that in this normal active sentence, we don't use to, so they made me stay longer. And in this passive voice, we need to add this to. I was made to stay longer. Why am I mentioning it? Well, because if you ever want to take some exam, take some certificate, for instance, these two structures are very often tested because, well, let's face it, they're quite tricky, right? Why do we have to in one of them and why don't we use this to in the other one? This is the exception. This is something I suppose you need to memorize, learn by heart, but I believe it's worth mentioning it at this point. And I suppose that would be it when it comes to the theory. I hope you've enjoyed it. Of course, remember that theory is one thing, but you still need to practice it. I suppose everything seems very easy when you listen to somebody. When you listen to somebody saying these things for you, everything seems super easy, right? But if you want to produce this kind of sentences, then it might be a bit problematic unless you actually practice, unless you come up with your own examples. So I really suggest that you try to create your own examples with make somebody happy, it makes me tired, or I made them change something in the contract. Try to create your own sentences that you could possibly use at work. And now, practical part. So your task is to simply paraphrase the sentence I've provided here. Of course, you can always stop the video to think of the answer, and then I'm going to show you the key. So remember, you're going to use this make somebody plus adjective structure or make somebody plus verb structure without to. Remember, well, it depends simply on the context. Of course, sometimes we will need this verb make in a different tense, possibly in the past, right? So try to think about the answer and see you in a sec. Okay, I hope you've paraphrased this sentence. So let's check the answer. You know, my job makes me tired. So you could, of course, say my job is very tiring, or you can simply say my job makes me tired. Męczy mnie. So actually there is no verb, different verb to use here. Męczyć kogoś. You need to say make somebody tired. It makes me tired. Example number 2. Stop the video and try to paraphrase the sentence. I've already provided the beginning of your sentence. Okay, have you got this? Stop the video if you need a few more seconds. If not, let's check the answer. You know, working from home makes me stressed. Working from home makes me stressed. So again, you could say working from home is stressful for me, right? Or I feel stressed when I work from home. But again, if you wanted to use this structure with make, then you could say working from home makes me stressed. Is that clear? I hope you've enjoyed this example. Number 3. Again, read the sentence, try to paraphrase it. We've actually had a similar example. Let's have a look at the answer. This tool makes my work much easier. This tool makes my work much easier. So this is an example with make plus object plus adjective, right? Example number 4. Stop the video and try to paraphrase it aloud. Okay, the answer. You know, it will make you feel much better. If you do it, it will make you feel much better. So you will feel much better if you do it, or it will simply make you feel much better. And here you actually have this verb feel, but of course without to. Sentence number 5. How would you paraphrase this one? Have you got this? Let's have a look at the key. They made me stay a bit longer. So you see, they convinced me or they forced me to stay a bit longer could be replaced with they made me stay a bit longer. Remember, we don't have this to, so if they convinced me to do something, they forced me to do something, you have this to, but here we delete this to and we say they made me stay a bit longer. And number 6, the last one. Stop the video and try to paraphrase. You know, that question made me very annoyed or very irritated. That question made me very annoyed. Okay, so you have this verb made in the past, me, and then the adjective very annoyed. So of course you could say this question was very annoying for me, or the question made me very annoyed. I hope that this exercise is clear to you. If it's not yet 100% clear, remember you can watch it once again, you can stop the video, you can spend more time processing and analyzing these examples. But well, now I have some small homework for you, and I really suggest that you leave your answers in the comment below this video. I will have a look at them and I will see if you know how to use this structure properly. So first of all, the question to you: what makes you motivated? And you can say, for instance, my salary makes me motivated, right? Or opportunities to develop myself make me motivated, right? So this is the way how you can use this structure. And then I want to actually answer the other question, which is what makes you stressed, right? And I could say, you know, deadline make me stressed. Or, you know, rude people make me stressed, or difficult clients make me stressed. So leave your answers in the comments so that I could see how it goes, right? And well, remember that I've included more sentences to be translated, to be practiced in the PDF. So if you've subscribed to my newsletter, for sure you've received this email notification with the new YouTube video and the PDF to download. But if you haven't yet subscribed to my newsletter, you can do so. The link can be found below the video. And then each time a new video is released, you will simply get this brand new PDF with all the theory from this video, plus some extra further exercises, thanks to which you will simply memorize what we've learned here better. So these exercises will make the use of this structure easier, I hope. Let me know if this class has been useful, has been helpful, and see you soon. Cheers!